Hi, I'm Dean with Old English Outfitters, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Aimpoint Duty RDS optic. We have one right here mounted up on this B&T GHM. This is Aimpoint's newest introduction into their product line, and it fills a little bit of a gap that we've been wanting after. It is a similar size to the Aimpoint T2, but at a much more reasonable price, closer to the Pro, the patrol rifle optic. Not everybody has the money for a T2, me included. Those things can run anywhere from like $700 to $900 depending on what you get and what kind of mount it has. This one comes in at significantly lower than that. So let's talk about the features. Right off the get, you can see the overall form factor is very close to the T2 and the T1, H1, that just micro red dot, very small footprint style of optic. There are a few key differences between the T2 and the Duty. We're going to go into all of those. The main features being it is a very small footprint optic. The optic itself only weighs 3.8 ounces. It's very lightweight, very small, at home on a gun size like this, or even a fuller size carbine. It is a side-fed battery. That is a 2032, one of those larger watch batteries that a lot of optics will use. It has the elevation and windage adjustments in the same spot as the T2, but they are no longer capped. They are sealed and waterproofed. So you don't have to worry about any moisture getting in there, but they're not capped. So good and bad. You don't have to worry about unscrewing caps or losing those caps when you're going to adjust, but now you will require a tool to roll in your elevation and windage, because on the T2 and a lot of similarly sized optics or clones of that optic, the cap acts as the adjustment tool. So you just flip it over and put it in the flat notch and you can roll those in. This, you will need a Torx bit or a proprietary tool to adjust your elevation and windage. Not a game ender, but still just something to note. Now, the T2 does have a rheostat dial on the side where the battery feed would be. This one has adjustment buttons on the side, a very simple up and down. Once again, they're sealed rubber buttons over on the side of the optic here, and that is how you adjust through all your brightness settings. Now, this does have 10 total brightness settings. There's one off position, 4 night vision settings, and then 6 daytime settings. At position 7, you get 30,000 hours of constant on battery life, which is about 3 years. Now, if you're doing your math correctly, that is the 3rd daylight setting, which is not all that bright. You're not going to find yourself on that setting enough, so your battery life may be closer to 20,000, which is still 2 years. But mileage may vary. Some people like setting 3. It just depends on how you're going to be shooting. It does come with scope covers. Similar to the Pro, the front is a solid cover and the back is windowed with clear plastic. So you can have your caps up and still get, with both eyes open, a usable sight picture before you deploy those lens covers. Just a very good Duty style of optic. Now, obviously, they couldn't call this the Pro 2 or anything like that, but it is geared for those who want a T2 styled optic and sized optic, but don't want to spend that kind of money. It even has the same footprint, kind of. It has the same screw pattern and the same lug spacing as the T2, but the body style is very different, as you can see here. There is a little bit of space between the body of the housing, or the bottom of the housing, excuse me, and the actual screw interface at the bottom here. That is to account for the adjustment buttons, because those are pretty close to the bottom of the optic. I am willing to bet that that was a conscious choice, because if they made this the exact same size as the T2 and could use all the same mounts as the T2, nobody would ever buy a T2 ever again, because you're getting that Aimpoint durability and the exact same size package, but you would be spending less money. So with that height difference, you are going to have difference in mounting heights. So if you try to put this onto for example, we tried it on a hollow sun low mount, it sits a little bit closer to an absolute, somewhere in between the two. And you'll find that this kind of falls somewhere in between the two on a lot of different mounting surfaces. So not quite the next height up, but almost there. We did put this on a Reptilia 1.93 mount, and we found that it was almost to the height of one of those 2.26 mounts. We did put it right next to a Hollow Sun 403 on a Unity Tactical mount, and they were about the same height. With that, we were able to use the Duty on the 193 mount and co-witness with a flip-up magnifier on a 226 height mount. It just sits right in between those two heights. Not quite as low as a 1.93, not quite as tall as a 2.26. You'll find that with any type of mount that you use. It'll sit a little higher than a lower 1/3, a little higher than an absolute. So an interesting way to mount, because well, if you're like me, I kind of like things, or I have wished, lower 1/3 is a little bit too low, but I don't always want the Eiffel Tower. I don't always want that. So this allows you to kind of stretch those lower mounts up a little bit more and be able to co-witness with certain things and get a little bit more natural head position. Now the finishing of the Duty overall looks very similar to the T2, but there is one key difference. When you actually get your hands on this, you'll notice the T2, if you've ever seen one, or even optics similar to that, like the Holosun 403 is one of the main competitors that pops into my head. Those are very smooth finished optics, and they have like a nice matte anodizing done to them. A lot of times it's type 3 hard coat, which gives it that nice smooth look. The Duty does not have that smooth look. I mean, honest to God, it looks like they sprayed this thing with Line X. It's just very rough. It doesn't look bad by any means, but it doesn't look the same. When I picked it up, I looked at it and I was wondering, is this just a poorly finished one? I pulled a bunch of other ones out of the boxes, and they all look like that. So that is intentional. It is still a nice durable coating that is anti-reflective. It just looks different than coatings you may have seen before. But it's not an issue. It just has that nice rough look. Who knows? Maybe you like that better than the smooth anodized. All in all, after shooting this on a bunch of different platforms, I really like it. I have owned a T2 in the past, and I have shot many similarly sized optics like the Vortex and the Holosun. That micro red dot is one of the best sizes for a CQB style of optic or something to go in front of a magnifier. It's lightweight, but still very durable, and this fits right into that bill. So those of you who always wanted an Aimpoint and you had to settle for the Aimpoint Pro because that's what was in your budget, now you have another option. You can get that similarly sized T2-esque optic without having to buy a cheaper knockoff. You can still get that Aimpoint brand with the Aimpoint Duty. It's a durable optic. The dot is very crisp at 2 MOA, and it has all the same awesome things that you know about Aimpoints. It's small, it's durable, it comes with good features, very precise adjustment, that daylight bright dot that's still very sharp. It's a very good offering. The different height is something that I think is very easy to overcome. Once again, it honestly gives you a little bit more options. If you are like me and you have wanted something that was kind of a middle ground between a few different mounting heights, this allows you to do that at a cheaper price point than a T2. You don't need any adapters or risers or anything like that, or even really a special mount. If you just want to buy a lower 1/3 ADM or a LaRue mount, or even just a bolt-on mount that's going to be much cheaper, this will give you that little bit of extra height. I like it quite a bit. The price is reasonable and the performance is exceptional. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like, leave a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. In addition, we do have an Instagram at OE Outfitters. Tristan puts a lot of great pictures on there and a lot of cool content. If you like what you see, please give us a follow. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.